Am I the asshole for telling my grandfather why none of his grandkids call him? Okay, Reddit, I need some perspective here because my family is losing their minds at me right now. This happened 3 days ago and I'm still getting angry texts. I'm Cole, 29M, work IT support in Denver. My grandfather Walter is 84, lives with my grandma Phyllis who's 82. They're about 20 minutes from my apartment. I'm basically the only grandkid who visits them regularly, mostly because I live closest and honestly, someone needs to help them with their technology issues. Before I get into what happened, you need some context about my grandfather. He's been kicking family members out of his house my entire life. I'm not exaggerating. It's his go-to move when he gets mad, which is often. When I was 19, I was living with them temporarily while I got on my feet after high school. One night I came home 20 minutes past what he considered curfew. I didn't have a key to the house. He knew I didn't have a key. I knocked, he opened the door, looked at his watch and told me to get out, just like that. I spent that night in my car. At 22, I stayed with them again between apartments. Got kicked out after 3 weeks. I honestly don't even remember what I did wrong that time. It was something small. It's always something small with him. My younger brother Trent lived with them for 2 months when he was 20, got kicked out because he didn't talk enough. My older sister Megan made it 4 months before one of Grandpa's rage episodes sent her packing. This is just how he operates. The thing is, he complains constantly that none of his grandkids call him. He's got this whole victim routine about how we're all ungrateful and missing out on his wisdom. When I've suggested he could call us, he says he's the grandfather and we should be calling him. He genuinely doesn't understand why we keep our distance. So here's what happened Sunday. Grandma called asking if I could help them set up a new phone. I drove over after lunch. Simple enough job, right? I'm on hold with customer support, waiting to activate the new number. Grandma asks me how to make the text bigger on her phone because she's having trouble reading it. I'm still on hold, so I show her the settings on my phone as an example. My grandfather is sitting right there getting irritated. I can feel it building. He does this thing where he gets quiet and tense, and you just know something's coming. Then he tells my grandmother to shut up, not quiet down, not let him focus. Shut up, she wasn't even being loud. She asked one question. I looked at him and said, "No," he turned to me. "I'm telling you to be quiet." "No," he stood up, took his jacket off. That's his intimidation move. He's done it my whole life. "Get the hell out of my house." I stayed in my chair. "No, I will call the police and have you removed." I just looked at him. My grandmother reached over and grabbed my hand. She didn't say anything, but she was holding my hand tight like she was asking me to stay. That's when something in me just broke. I set the phone down, looked at my grandfather, and I said, "You're mean, you're a bully, and that's exactly why none of your grandkids call you." The room went completely silent. My grandfather just stared at me. My grandmother was still holding my hand. I continued. "You've kicked me out of this house twice, Trent once. Megan once. You kick people out over nothing and then wonder why they don't want to be around you. You treat grandma like she's an annoyance. You've been doing this for decades. So no, I'm not leaving. And if you want to know why your grandkids don't call, you're looking at the reason in the mirror." He didn't say anything. He put his jacket back on, went to his room and slammed the door. I finished setting up the phone, helped my grandmother with her settings. She thanked me, didn't mention what I'd said. I kissed her cheek and left. By the time I got home, I had 3 texts from my Aunt Deborah demanding I call her. When I did, she laid into me. How could I disrespect him like that? He's 84 years old. He's from a different generation. I need to apologize immediately. There's a family dinner next Sunday and I need to make this right. I told her everything I said was true. She said that doesn't matter, he's my grandfather and he deserves respect. Here's where I might be the asshole. I told her no. I'm not apologizing for telling the truth. If he wants to talk about why his grandkids don't call him, I'm happy to have that conversation. But I'm not going to pretend his behavior is acceptable just because he's old. Now half my family is mad at me. The other half hasn't said anything, which I'm taking as silent disapproval. My brother Trent sent me a fist bump emoji, and finally someone said it. So at least I've got one person on my side. My mom called yesterday saying she understands, but he's still your grandfather, and family is complicated. My dad was weirdly quiet on the phone, just said, "We'll talk later." Reddit, I'm genuinely asking, am I the asshole here? Should I have just kept my mouth shut? Everyone's acting like I committed some terrible crime by speaking the truth. Update 1. Hey Reddit. It's been 5 days since my last post and wow, the response was overwhelming. Thank you for all the support and perspective. I've read every comment some multiple times. Especially the ones from people who have dealt with similar family dynamics. It helps to know I'm not crazy. A lot has happened. I need to process it all and writing it out helps, so here we go. First, the family reactions have been diverse and kind of revealing. Aunt Deborah called me 3 more times. Each call got progressively more aggressive. The last one she actually said I was ruining the family and that I'd regret this when he's gone. I stopped answering after that. Uncle Ray has been completely silent. Not a word, that's his move. He never picks sides, just waits for things to blow over. Classic enabler behavior. My mom is conflicted. She called me twice. She keeps saying she understands, but also he's my grandfather and maybe I could have said it differently. I asked her how exactly you're supposed to nicely tell someone they're a bully. She didn't have an answer for that. My dad surprised me. He called the day after my post and said someone had to say it eventually. That's it, short and to the point. We didn't talk long, but I could tell he had more to say. He just wasn't ready. Trent sent me a long text, like really long. He wrote out the entire story of when Grandpa kicked him out. He'd been staying there while saving money for his own place. 2 months in, Grandpa decided Trent was too quiet and standoffish. The real issue was Trent didn't want to sit and listen to Grandpa's stories every night. He had homework. He had a job, but Grandpa took it as disrespect. One night Grandpa just exploded, told Trent he was ungrateful, didn't appreciate the roof over his head and needed to get out, gave him 2 hours to pack. Trent said he remembered driving away with his stuff in garbage bags, completely blindsided. He thanked me for finally saying what we'd all been thinking. My older sister Megan called too. She said, "I've been waiting years for this." She told me her story, which I'd only heard pieces of. She'd lasted 4 months before Grandpa kicked her out over burnt toast. I'm not kidding. She made toast, burned it, the smoke alarm went off and Grandpa went nuclear. Said she was careless and disrespectful of his home. Out she went. But the call that really got to me was from Grandma Phillies. She called my cell on Tuesday evening. I almost didn't answer because I thought it might be Grandpa's number, but it was her voice, quiet and shaky. "Cole, honey, I just wanted to call. Grandma, I'm so sorry if I upset you." "Oh no, sweetheart, don't apologize." She paused. "He's been like this our whole marriage." I didn't know what to say to that. She continued, her voice even quieter. "I wanted to leave him in the 70s, did you know that? I had the papers drawn up and everything, but women didn't do that back then, not in our family, not in our church, so I stayed." Grandma, 60 years, Cole, 60 years of walking on eggshells, and you know what? When you said that on Sunday about him being mean, it was the first time I ever heard someone say it out loud. Thank you for that. I'm not going to lie, I cried after that call. This woman has been dealing with his behavior for 6 decades. 6 decades. And everyone just accepted it as normal. Now here's where it gets interesting. Aunt Deborah decided to organize a family meeting at their house. The whole family would come together and I would apologize properly to Grandpa, and then we'd all move forward. I told her I'd come to a family meeting if it was an actual conversation about Grandpa's behavior and how it's affected all of us. But I'm not coming to a ritual apology where everyone pretends everything is fine. She didn't like that answer. Said I was being difficult and stubborn. Said Grandpa was willing to forgive me if I just showed some humility. I asked her if Grandpa was planning to apologize for anything. For the decades of kicking people out, for the yelling, for the way he treats Grandma. She said he's 84 years old, Cole. He's not going to change. And there it was. Everyone knows how he is. They've just accepted it. They expect everyone else to accept it too. I told her I wouldn't be attending unless the meeting was going to address the real issues. She hung up on me. The meeting was scheduled for yesterday. I didn't go. From what I heard from Trent, it got canceled anyway because Grandpa refused to attend. His exact words were, "I have nothing to apologize for." That told me everything I needed to know. He doesn't want reconciliation. He doesn't want to understand why his grandkids keep their distance. He just wants everyone to submit and pretend he's the victim. I've been doing a lot of thinking these past few days, a lot of reading too. I went down a rabbit hole about family dynamics and toxic behavior patterns. What I'm realizing is that I spent 29 years waiting for him to see me, to appreciate me, to just be kind. And he's not going to, not because he can't. Because he doesn't want to. The pattern has repeated for 60 years, with his kids, with his grandkids, probably with his wife. Everyone just learned to navigate around his anger instead of addressing it. I'm done navigating. I'm done shrinking myself to make him comfortable. And honestly, for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe. Trent and I are closer than we've ever been. Megan and I have been texting more. We're planning to get together next week, just the three of us. First time in years. Some of you asked if I regret what I said. I don't. Not even a little bit. Was it hard? Yes. Has it caused family chaos? Absolutely. But it needed to be said, and I'm glad I was the one who said it. I'll update again if anything significant happens. For now, I'm just focusing on the relationships that actually matter. The ones built on respect, not obligation. Thanks again, Reddit. You helped me realize I'm not crazy for refusing to play along with dysfunction. Update 2. This is escalating in ways I didn't expect. I need to write this out because I'm still processing what happened. It's been 2 weeks since my last update. Things had been relatively quiet. Aunt Deborah stopped calling. The family group chat has been dead silent. I'd been getting on with my life, honestly feeling lighter than I have in years. Then yesterday happened. I was working from home, afternoon shift. Around 2 p.m. my apartment buzzer goes off. I check the camera feed on my phone. It's my grandfather. He's standing at the entrance to my building, looking up at the camera. I'm on the 3rd floor. He's never been to my apartment before. I've lived here for 2 years. I press the intercom button. "Grandpa, we need to talk, let me up." I don't know why, but something told me not to open that door. Maybe it was his tone, maybe it was everything I've learned about his patterns, maybe it was just instinct. "We can talk from here. Don't be ridiculous, let me up." "No, we can talk through the intercom or we can talk another time." I heard him make this frustrated sound. Then his voice changed, got calmer, more controlled. "Cole, I came all the way here. We need to talk like men, face to face." "Then let's go get coffee somewhere, I'll meet you." "No, I'm here now, let me up." That's when I knew this wasn't about talking. This was about control, about me submitting by opening the door. "Grandpa, we can talk right now, I'm listening." Silence for a few seconds, then, "You embarrassed me in front of the whole family." "I told you the truth. You disrespected me in my own house. You were mean to Grandma. I wasn't going to sit there and watch it anymore. She's my wife, that's none of your business. It became my business when you did it in front of me." His voice got louder. I could hear it through the intercom, probably the whole lobby could hear it. "You think you're so smart, you think you know everything. You're 29 years old and you've got nothing. No wife, no kids, working the same job you had 5 years ago." That stung, but I kept my voice level. "This isn't about my life, this is about your behavior. I've been alive 84 years, I've earned respect. Respect is earned by how you treat people, not by how old you are." That's when he started hitting the intercom button repeatedly, buzzing over and over. Then I heard him try the door handle. I pulled up the camera feed again. He was pulling on the door, getting frustrated it was locked. "Grandpa, stop, you need to leave. Open this goddamn door." "No, and if you don't leave, I'm calling the police." He stopped, looked up at the camera, his face was red. I'd never seen him look like that before. "You'd call the cops on your own grandfather. If you're trying to force your way into my building, yes." He stood there for a long minute. Then he said something I couldn't quite hear, turned around and walked to his car. I watched on the camera until he drove away. Then I sat down because my hands were shaking. I immediately called my building management and reported it. They flagged his description in case he comes back. Then I called Aunt Deborah. "Did you give Grandpa my address? He asked for it. He's your grandfather, Cole. Don't ever give out my address again to anyone. He just showed up here trying to force his way into my building." She tried to defend it, said he just wanted to talk, said I was overreacting. I told her what happened, word for word. She went quiet. "Deborah, I need you to understand something. What he did wasn't okay. Showing up unannounced, trying to intimidate me into opening the door, yelling in my building lobby. That's not normal grandfather behavior. That's harassment." She said she'd talk to him. I told her not to bother, just don't give out my address again. After I hung up, I called Trent. He answered on the second ring. "He did the same thing to me once," Trent said. "Showed up at my work, made a scene in front of my boss. I had to explain to HR that it was a family situation." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Same reason you probably didn't tell people about getting kicked out. It's embarrassing. Feels like it's somehow your fault." We talked for an hour about the pattern, about how Grandpa escalates when he doesn't get his way, about how the whole family has just learned to accommodate it. Then my dad called. This was the conversation I'd been waiting for. Your aunt told me what happened. Yeah, Cole, I need to tell you something. He paused. When I was 10, your grandfather hit Uncle Ray so hard he broke his nose. Ray was 14, I watched it happen. I didn't know what to say. We never talked about it, Dad continued. Mom cleaned Ray up, Dad acted like nothing happened the next day, and we all just moved on. That's what you did back then, you didn't question it. Dad, I've spent your whole life telling myself he was just old-fashioned, strict, from a different time, but watching what he's doing to you, it's like seeing it all again. And I'm realizing I enabled it. We all did. We taught you kids to just deal with it instead of protecting you from it. His voice cracked a little. I'm sorry, son, I should have said something years ago. We talked for a while longer. He told me stories I'd never heard, about Grandpa's rages, about how everyone walked on eggshells, about how Grandma would make excuses and smooth things over. After we hung up, I sat with all of it. 3 generations of this pattern. 3 generations of people accommodating, excusing, enabling. And I'm the one who finally said stop. I'm not in contact with my grandfather right now. I haven't blocked his number, but I'm not reaching out. I told my family that I'm willing to have a conversation if and when he's ready to genuinely apologize and discuss his behavior. Not before. I also told them I'll still visit Grandma, but I'll coordinate when Grandpa isn't home. She deserves to have family around her who isn't constantly walking on eggshells. Trent, Megan, and I are getting dinner this weekend. Just us. We're calling it the Survivors Club. Dark humor maybe, but it helps. I don't know what happens next. Maybe Grandpa will never acknowledge any of this. Maybe the family will stay divided. Maybe this is just how it is now. But I know one thing for certain. I'm never opening that door again, literally or figuratively. Final update first, the facts. My grandfather never apologized. I didn't expect him to, but I think part of me hoped. His health has started declining. Nothing major, just the normal stuff that comes with being 84. He's at the doctor more, moving slower, getting more forgetful. Aunt Deborah still enables him, but she stopped pressuring me to apologize. I think even she realized how bad it looked when I told the whole family about him showing up at my apartment. Uncle Ray is still silent. Some things don't change, but here's what did change. I visit Grandma Philly's every other Wednesday. That's when Grandpa has his doctor's appointments and physical therapy. I time it exactly. I bring her groceries, fix things around the house, and we talk, really talk. For the first time in my life, I'm hearing stories she never told before, about her life before she married him, about her dreams, about the friends she lost over the years because he didn't like them, about the classes she wanted to take but he said were a waste of time. She's 82 years old and she's just now telling someone these things. Our relationship has become something I never expected. She's not just my grandmother anymore. She's a person I actually know, and I think she feels seen in a way she hasn't been in decades. The family dynamic has completely shifted. Trent, Megan, and I have a group chat now. We talk almost every day. It's the first time the 3 of us have been close. We realized we all dealt with the same things growing up, but we never talked about it because that's not how our family worked. Last month, Trent told us he's been in therapy for 6 months, working through a lot of childhood stuff. It's helping. Megan's thinking about going too. I might join them eventually. My dad and I have gotten closer. He's been doing his own work, reflecting on how he was raised and how he raised us. He apologized a few more times for not protecting us better. I told him I understood. The cycle of dysfunction is hard to break when you're in it. Mom still wishes things were different. She's the type who wants everyone to get along, even if it means pretending. I love her, but I've accepted we see this differently. Here's the moment I didn't expect. 3 weeks ago, I got a birthday card in the mail from my grandfather, no note inside. Just his signature. Walter. I stared at that card for a long time, trying to figure out what it meant. Was it an olive branch? Was it guilt? Was it just obligation? I decided it didn't matter what he meant. What mattered was what I did with it. I sent him a thank you card, short, simple. Thank you for remembering my birthday, Cole. That's it. No reconciliation, no deep conversation, just acknowledgement. Some people might think that's cold, but here's what I've learned over these 6 months. My grandfather isn't a monster. He's not evil. He's just a deeply damaged person who refuses to acknowledge the damage he's caused. And I can recognize that without sacrificing my own peace. I got promoted at work 2 months ago. It's not related to the family stuff, but the mental clarity I've gained definitely helped. When you're not using all your energy managing toxic relationships, you have more to give to things that actually matter. I haven't started dating or anything like some of you have asked about. That's not really the point of this story. The point is learning to set boundaries and stick to them. The Survivors Club is still going strong. We meet every few weeks. Sometimes we talk about family stuff. Sometimes we just hang out and play video games. It's nice having people who understand without explanation. Someone asked me in my DMs if I have any regrets. Honestly, no, not about speaking up, not about setting boundaries, not about refusing to apologize for telling the truth. Do I wish my grandfather was different? Of course. Do I wish we could have a normal relationship? Sure, but wishing doesn't change reality. And reality is that some people won't change, no matter how much you want them to. What I can change is how I respond, what I accept, who I allow in my life and on what terms. I spent 29 years waiting for my grandfather to be the person I needed him to be. Now I understand the only person I can change is myself. Setting boundaries isn't about punishment, it's about protection. It's about saying I deserve to be treated with respect, and if you can't do that, I'll create distance. That's not cruel, that's self-preservation. And honestly, for the first time in my life, I feel like I can breathe around my own family. If you're in a similar situation, here's what I learned. You don't owe anyone your peace. Not even family. Especially not family. The people who truly love you will respect your boundaries. The ones who don't were never safe to begin with. My grandfather will probably never understand why his grandkids don't call. He'll probably go to his grave believing he's the victim in this story. And you know what? That's his choice. His narrative to live with. My choice is to build a life where I don't have to shrink myself to make someone else comfortable, where I can visit my grandmother without fear, where my siblings and I can be honest with each other, where family means something more than obligation and dysfunction. That's enough for me. To everyone who supported me through this, thank you. To everyone dealing with similar family dynamics, you're not alone, and you're not wrong for wanting better. Some people will read this and say I should have just apologized to keep the peace. But here's the thing about that kind of peace. It's not real, it's just silence. And I spent 29 years being silent. My grandfather will probably never change, but that's okay, because I finally did.